Good morning. This is Penny and Tasha of Penny's 2 Cents, and we're here today again to talk to you folks. And what we're going to discuss today, Tasha, is
Interviewing.
interviewing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about resumes or anything like that. We're just going to talk about what to do for the interview.
And we're talking about for the employer or for the employee?
We're talking about for the employee today. This is going to be really important because, of course, employees are extremely important. So today we're going to talk about the employee. Okay. So one of the first things I want to talk about, and we discussed this earlier, the importance of bringing your resume, hard copy resume,
Two copies.
hard copy resume, yes, to the interview. So important. One for yourself and one for the employer. And if you happen to have more people,
If you know there's a panel, then find out how many and bring a copy for each one of them.
I know, because so many people go, well, I don't have my resume because it's online or it's on my phone. Not a good idea. Must have hard copy, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, the second thing is you need to know where you're going.
Exactly. What's the address? Do you know how to get there?
Right. Do you know how to get there? Do you know what the address is? Now, the address for the interview and the address for the company where you're going to be could be completely different. So you've got to check out both, right, Tasha?
Yes. And if you don't know where to go, I mean, if you, sometimes the interview, it's not at the same place where you're actually going to be working. So do you know that ahead of time? Can you get to both of them?
Yeah, so can you get to them? Do you have a car or a vehicle to get there, or do you need public transportation? If you need public transportation, you've got to make sure that the bus actually goes there.
Yes.
Okay.
And the timing. Make sure you can get there on time for your interview. And early is always better than being there late.
And timing is everything. So say your interview is at 10 o'clock in the morning, great. But the job actually starts at 7:30 in the morning. So how much time do you need to arrive on time at 7:30 or earlier? And does the bus leave actually at that time? Right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right. Now, Tasha, I've experienced where an employee says, "Oh no, I don't need public transportation. My sister's going to drive me every day to work." What do you have to say about that?
Well, I say that you cannot rely on other people to be consistent. It's important that you can get to your job, you can get to the interview and somebody can bring you. That's fine. Mm-hmm. But can you get to the job every day that you're supposed to be there and on time? Something might happen with a family member or a friend that they might get sick, or they might have a job. Their schedule changed some kind of way that's going to interfere with yours. So you don't want to be depending on that.
Yeah, and what I have found throughout the years is when somebody goes, well, my sister also works there, so she's going to take me every day. Well, what we found is if the sister is sick, 2 people are off.
Yeah.
So many employers are very, very specific, must have your own reliable transportation. So they're really saying you can't come with a buddy or a friend. You either have to have your own transportation or a bus line or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, carpools are great, but you must have a way of a backup plan. Mm-hmm. You must have a backup plan.
Totally agree. Okay, so now you've got the 2 resumes or more resumes, as you know. You know you can get to the job on time because you've got transportation to get there. So now how am I going to dress for this interview?
Yes.
What am I going to wear to the interview?
It's always good to dress according to the job. If it's a construction site or if it's a bank, you're going to dress differently. But what does the advertisement or the vacancy notice say about dressing? Does it say, are you going to this interview prepared to work? What does it say in your notice? So just be aware of that, because sometimes they might hire on the spot, which means you need to be dressed and ready to go to work. And if you're in construction or construction, some kind of manual labor or warehouse, mm-hmm. They're going to ask you to wear the appropriate shoes. I got tennis shoes.
Right, but what they might mean, and they should say it usually in the job description, steel-toed. So most often than not, if you are in a warehouse situation or you're on a construction site, you're going to need to have steel-toed. So
And this is for your safety.
Right.
This is not just frivolous. This is for safety.
and it's something that the employer demands. So you've got to have steel-toed, possibly.
Yes.
And what about an office setting, Tasha? What do you think about appropriate dress for that?
I think appropriate dress would be a suit, wear or a nice jacket and pair of pants and a nice shirt or blouse underneath. Some women still wear skirts and then matching jacket. So those are still appropriate.
Okay, but what's not appropriate, which is something we need to talk about, is if you are used to going out to clubs or something like that and you're wearing really spiked heels or really short skirts, those things are not appropriate for the job interview. And what I tell people is that you're going to be going to different job interviews. You can wear the exact same thing to every job interview.
Yes, you can.
Right? So if you have like a job interview outfit, that'd be great. So something appropriate, low heels, not strappy sandals, just something that's appropriately more conservative than you would wear.
Now, I did hear once that if you're really short and you're very conscious about your you can wear a little higher heel than someone who's taller.
Right.
But you need to wear something that you're comfortable walking in. And I think the same thing with clothes. Wear something you're comfortable in because you're going to be on the spot. And you want to be comfortable, not rigid, not scared.
Yes, definitely. But appropriate clothing is so necessary. Clean clothes, no rips, no tears, no
wrinkles.
logos,
No
logos, wrinkles.
Collars, if possible.
Yes, and especially men. If you have a collared shirt, that would be more appropriate. But no stains, no rips, no tears.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now I'm talking about, here I am now. I'm at the interview. What do? I have a cell phone. Like my cell phone just went off a little second ago. Sorry about that.
It did, didn't it? And what happened? Tasha was distracted.
Very distracted. That'll happen.
So what is cell phone etiquette, Tasha?
No cell phones.
No cell phones in the interview, even on silent.
Mine was on silent. I can still hear it very clear.
So huge. Yeah. I mean, I have been told by employers that the reason somebody didn't get the job is because their phone kept going off and they kept responding. I mean, so inappropriate. You can be away from your phone for that interview time. If you have kids or parents or somebody, let them know.
Just let everybody know that you're going to be unavailable for a few minutes and you'll get back to them as soon as you're able.
Yes, cell phone. So that's it.
No cell phones.
That's very, very easy.
And what about, so we've got the cell phone issue, we've got this dialogue going with the employer. We introduce ourselves. What about shaking hands?
Oh, shaking hands, huge deal. It is such a huge deal to shake hands. So let's do that. We're going to shake right now, appropriately. Do you see how we grasp each other? And so often with women, more than men, so don't like that at all. So what's happened to me is that I'm ready to go like this, and a man goes like this.
So what do?
I usually kind of comply because it's just easier.
Well, what I do is that when they go to the wimpy, I grab their hand.
Oh, I like that.
Just go ahead and shake.
That's a good one. I like that. A good handshake by a woman, really noticeable. In fact, men have said things like, "You have a great handshake." You're like, okay.
Yeah.
Should I say thank you or?
Yeah, you should say thank you.
I don't know.
I know.
So anyway, handshakes are good, and it could be that somebody is sitting like behind the desk when you walk in, so you want to be the aggressor.
Yeah.
To
extend your hand.
Extend your hand. Okay, great.
Yeah.
How should I sit? That's the other thing. Often I've seen people sit so inappropriately. Kind of like back and taking up all this space. Don't do that.
And for women, we tend to cross our legs, and if you can avoid that, just keep your knees together and your feet on the floor. And if it's a tall chair, you might want to lean forward a little bit so your feet will stay on the floor.
Definitely. So that would be good.
Sit up straight. Don't lean over or whatever, anything like that.
Yeah, and I think that your posture and everything is going to be extremely important. Should I ask questions?
So there's always a part in the interview where the interviewer will say, Do you have any questions for me? Okay, well, let me let you know this right now. They say there are no stupid questions, but they lie. There are some stupid questions. So what do you do? It's like you've got to do research.
Well, give us an example of a stupid question.
Well, I'm going to work for Coca-Cola. I want to get a job with Coca-Cola, for example, and I go in and I say, are you guys worldwide? Well, you should know that they are. And that just shows you don't know anything about the company, right? Right?
Oh, well, so that brings up the other point. Before you go to interview for any company, you need to look them up online and find out what they do. I mean, in today's age with the computer and the internet,
Oh my gosh, you can find all kinds of stuff.
there
from
is no
companies.
reason not to know what a company does. And they will appreciate that in the interview because they're seeing probably dozens of people. And if you don't know what they do, that's going to be a serious problem.
And if you haven't researched what you're applying for, then that gives them a little cause for pause because it's like, well, why are they applying for this job? Do they understand what this job is about? Do you understand what our company is about? Because you're not there interviewing to get you money. I mean, yes, you are, but you're really there to help a company progress.
Yeah, they want to hire you.
They want to succeed.
They want to succeed and they want to hire you. So you can ask questions like, let's say you were going for an administrative assistant job, and you read the job description, so you really know what's in the job description. And you might say, I've read the job description, I understand very well what's in the job description, but please can you let me know what else you would expect of me?
Yes, that's a good question. What else is expected?
Right.
Is there anything that's not on this list that I could do? I'm open to anything, but
yeah, and then you'll know. And then you'll absolutely know. And you can double check the hours. You can double check throughout the day. You can make sure, I just wanted to double check. It's from 8 o'clock till 5 o'clock. Is that correct?
is it stationary? I
No,
mean,
that's the other
does my
question, yeah.
job require me to travel? Or
And-
am I going to stay in one office?
One office, and is there overtime expected?
Yeah.
That could be a deal breaker for a lot of people. And you know what, guys? If that is the deal breaker, don't feel badly. We all have lives. If it's mandatory overtime, you need to know this up front because you don't want to accept a position and then, they say, well, Penny, you're going to have to stay late tomorrow until 6, and you're like, where did that come from? My kids are home or whatever the case may be. So that's a very, very important point.
Very
right?
important, yes.
Okay. What else do you think?
Eye contact. Make sure you're
eye
looking
contact, yeah.
at the person you're talking to. And if there's a panel, be direct with each one of them. Just sort of share the glare. Let them know
I
that
like
you're
that.
listening.
Share the glare. That's a good one. And try to avoid saying all the time.
Yeah. It's expected sometimes because that also shows us that we're thinking about the question and before we answer. So it's okay to have a couple, but every other word shouldn't be
And here's another thing. Should I answer a question during the interview if I don't know the answer? So that's pretty tricky. I mean, I would say something like, I would say something like, I don't really know the answer to that right now, but would it be possible for me to get back to you and let you know?
Yeah.
Something like that.
I don't know is a very good answer if you really don't know and you're willing to do the research.
Yeah, but that is huge. That's key. So we've gone over, I think, pretty much everything to prepare for the interview.
Yes.
And you can see that I'm using my hands a lot because that's what I do. I'm going to suggest you probably don't use your hands as much as I am because it's fairly annoying. So I'm sorry if I'm annoying you, but it's distracting.
Sometimes it's distracting. Too much is distracting.
Yeah, too much is distracting. So I apologize up front if I've been distracting. But I think that's pretty much all we're going to talk about today.
Your time is up.
All right. Thank you. We'll see you next time. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.